You can control what you can control. You can't control an accident or if you're in a wreck. Your decision is up to you what you can control.
Welcome to the Hope Warrior Project podcast, where we bring you an extra dose of hope to help you get over the humps of life. I'm Stephanie Martino.
And I'm Lydia Zuniga, and together we are bringing you real stories of hope from real people. We believe by hearing other people's stories of challenge and transformation, we can all gain some hope for ourselves.
So if you've been looking to find and hold on to hope, you're in the right place. Join us on this journey as we all become warriors of hope. 42 years ago, at the age of just 14, Ollie Garza suffered a major injury while playing in a high school football game. One routine play, something he had done hundreds of times before, changed his life forever that day when he fractured his neck. Ollie went from being an extremely active teenager, playing all kinds of sports, to not being able to move anything at all from the neck down. He had to relearn everything, including the things that so many of us take for granted, like brushing his teeth, combing his hair, and getting dressed, while at the same time keeping up with his studies as a freshman. Now I think we could say he had every justification to feel hopeless. And he did go through a period of blaming God and feeling sorry for himself, asking, why did this happen to me? But he didn't stay in that mindset. Today, Ollie is here to share his remarkable story, including how he learned to not only accept, but also embrace his new reality. And from that has found that the sky is the limit for him. Thank you so much, Ollie, for joining us today. We're happy to have you with us.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me be a part of the Hope Warrior Project.
Absolutely, Ollie. And when I heard a bit of your story, I was so just excited to learn more and excited to hear what you had to say about the mindset behind this. Because I just knowing how, you were in high school, I just think of the challenges that, I had to face. And that's already kind of a confusing time for a teenager, I guess, but you had a lot more to deal with on top of that. So I would love for you to share with our community the emotions, the feelings that you were going through once you realized the severity of the injury.
I mean, at the time, it was very devastating. And, I was looking forward to playing sports with my high school. I was looking forward to since I was 6 years old, just waiting since I lived a couple of blocks from there. And my brothers were already up there, and I was saying, well, it's time to shine. And I said, let me see what I can do on the high school level. And then when I had my injury, I was blaming everybody. I was angry, devastated. I was blaming everybody. What happened to me? Why did this happen to me? I even blamed God. God, why did you let this happen to me? What did I do to deserve this? And I was just asking everybody, why me? But that's part of the process I had to learn.
I mean, those feelings I think are completely understandable. And I can't imagine, so young, obviously a very active person. You said you played all kinds of sports, and your family, when we talked before, you said your family is very into sports. So it wasn't just something you enjoyed, it was part of your life, right? Your family life, your lifestyle. So that had to be hugely devastating. And, from that, I think at any age, it would be hard to accept it, I think regardless, but knowing that you still had your whole life ahead of you, what was the process for you to start accepting that and processing, this is my reality now?
Well, at a very young age, feel like everything was just taken from me in a split second. Since I had two older brothers and one younger brother, they were still in sports. My father, because I got injured doesn't mean the world stopped. My mother still kept playing. So my father, he didn't let me get in that depressed mode. So he would load me up and put me in the passenger seat, put my wheelchair in the back, and off we went. Depending on what season it was, if it was football or baseball or boxing, whatever season it was, we're off. There we go. And, I still had to do things for myself. And not the way I wanted, but it was my new reality. You know, hey, to do things for yourself, I had to learn to readapt to my new life. And then, you know, it started hanging around other individuals, you know, for being quadriplegics, learning what they went through, that I was not alone. So I was learning to do things. I said, hey, you know what? I seen him doing it. Let me try. Let me ask, you know. So I was asking them, hey, how'd you do it? And they showed me. Of course, I couldn't do it at first. But after repetition, you know, I started doing it. I was able to do it for myself. And then I got involved, you know, I went to a rehabilitation center one time, and then I heard of a quad rugby and for quadriplegics. I said, quad rugby for a sport I could play again? I said, no, I couldn't believe it. But once I seen it from my own eyes, it was all quadriplegics. And I said, wow, I could play a sport again. That's all I knew growing up, sports. If it was football, baseball, boxing, basketball, or soccer for the school. Once I got involved, it was a whole different mindset. Once I embraced the process, you know what? This is you. You know, this is my new life. So getting around quads and got in quad rugby, we traveled around all around the world, Canada, Florida, everywhere, just getting around the individuals that, you know, have been through what you went through. It doesn't matter if you had a football accident or if you had a car wreck or diving and swimming pool. I've met a lot of quadriplegics.
That's amazing. And I just want to point out just how incredible it is that you got involved in sports again. I mean, not having much movement in your body, right? Like, I don't know, I just feel like we all make excuses for things that we want to do but are difficult. But man, like, what a challenge. And I just want to applaud you for that. I think that's incredible. And also, I wanted to point out, you know, that this is why we do this podcast, is sharing these stories, because there's so much power in connecting with other people's stories that you can see yourself in. And I know probably many of our listeners can't directly relate to your circumstances, but we hear it over and over and over again with our guests, that something that helps everyone is to find a community of people that really do get your specific circumstances, that know what it's like, so that, like you said, you can see like what's possible for yourself.
And I wanted to add to this too. I mean, this was not an overnight thing. I mean, you know, it's sometimes I think when we hear the story later on, you know, obviously it's summarized, it's condensed, but this process of acceptance, you know, of getting to the point where you were able to do things for yourself, that took time, right?
Of course, yes.
I think when we talked before, you said, you know, it was probably maybe around 4 or 5 years after your injury before you really started doing everything for yourself, you know, or most things for yourself. So maybe talk about that a little bit, you know, because sometimes we can become really impatient with life, you know, when things are not going our way. And how did you manage through that?
At first, you know, it was very hard because at first I couldn't move nothing from my neck down. But eventually over time, I kept moving around and doing stuff. But eventually, you know, I knew I could do it. But my father said, son, let me help you be a lot faster, which it was a lot faster, but it was not helping me grow. Once I moved out, and I haven't been back home over 30 some years, but I started learning, doing things for myself that I knew I could have did prior when I was at the house. But I had to relearn everything again, brushing your teeth, combing your hair. I mean, like everything we take for granted, you know, put on a sock or shoe or whatever it might be that we all take for granted. You know, once you can accept it, you can move forward. But once you accept it and embrace the process, the sky's the limit.
So I definitely need to remember what you just said about like doing things for your kids, because even though my kids are fully abled right now, it's like it's even just a difficult thing for a parent in general, right? We don't want to see our kids struggle. So I can only imagine what your parents were experiencing with you. But I mean, for you to move out, I mean, were they supportive of that, or did they want you to stay home?
I had to move out because I was not getting younger and my father was not getting younger and he was not letting me do things that I knew I could do for myself. But he was his son, let me do it because it's a lot faster. I can help you. I said, no, let me do it. It's going to take me another hour, hour and a half. It's hard. Like you said, you like to help your kids. My father was doing right. You know, he wanted to help me, but that was not helping me.
That's such a good point. And, something that I think we can apply in almost any area of life. A lot of times we do things for people because of love, right? Your dad
Right,
was doing these obviously because he loved you and he wanted to help you. But
right,
sometimes that can have detrimental effects, right? We're not allowing that person to grow and learn and develop on their own when we're doing everything for them. And you can see that in a lot of areas of life. You can see that, even with someone, a spouse or a relative that has an addiction, or, in a lot of areas, right? So that concept applies. And I love the fact that you took the initiative to say, no, I need to learn to do this on my own,
right.
because how easy it could be, I'm sure, to just be like, you know what, hey, I'll let, anybody else do anything for me, because it's hard. I'm sure that was hard to have to
Of course,
relearn
yeah.
all of that. And like you said, something that maybe you used to be able to do quickly, now it took you a much longer time because, you had to find different ways of doing it, but how
Right.
much stronger that made you as a person. And I'm sure even physically as well. So I think that's another really important point about taking that initiative, making that decision and that choice to say, I need to do this for myself. I need to take responsibility
Right.
and work this out for myself.
And in your unique circumstances, it was a lot of physical things, but this also applies to basically everything, right? Even things that have to do with like our relationships, our mindsets, how we deal with with anything in life, right? So I think that the struggle is just part of it, right? That's the lesson here, is that in the beginning, when you're trying to change something or you're trying to improve on something, it's going to be tough. It's going to take longer. It's going to take more effort. And it's not going to happen overnight. But every time you do it, you get a little bit better. And I think that's amazing. And also, I think something that you talked about last time when we were talking about your story was that sometimes you have to ask for help too, so it's
Right.
this beautiful balance of
Right.
trying to do things for yourself, but then also being accepting of your like current limitations in this moment,
Right.
that maybe you need help right now, maybe like this thing, you can work on it and get better at it in the future, but also just being humble enough to be like, I'm not there yet, and I'm in a situation where I need help right now. So then calling out to people that can help you.
Right. It's a challenge, we face every day, y'all face challenges every day yourself. And again, I call y'all able bodies ABs. I face challenges every day myself. And I had to learn what I can and cannot do. You got to swallow your pride. You got to ask for help when you need it. That's an analogy I use when I'm embracing the process, like the past. I look it through the rearview mirror. That's the past. You can't change what happened if you or had a bad accident. I mean, if you were in a relationship or if you're in a job, if you keep going back to the same old thing, you'll get the same old results. If you could say, you know what, there's a big old windshield in front of you. You can control what you can control. You can't control an accident or if you're in a wreck. Your decision is up to you what you can control.
Stephanie and I personally, we love analogies. And this is a really good one because I love that the rearview mirror, it's important, right? Like it's in the
Of
car
course.
for a
Yeah.
reason. And how many times I don't remember exactly what they teach you in driving school, but I think it's like, I don't know, once a minute or something, like you should be glancing up there. And but in comparison, if you look at the rear view mirror compared to the windshield, it's a lot smaller. And obviously your eyes are spending way less time looking at, could you imagine if you were just looking at the rear view mirror and driving? Like you'd be
Right.
you'd be smashed into something within like 3 seconds, so
Right. Yeah.
so I love that because it is important. It's so important. You want to know and understand what's going on behind you. And that's right, what might be limiting you in certain things, and that's okay. And because if you see that and you understand it, then you can adjust whatever you need to do. So,
Right.
but that windshield is huge, right? It's wide. There's so much possibility in front of you, and that's where your eyes should be looking at. So what is life like now?
So after 40 years after my accident, it was coming up. I just, you know what? Let me tell my story. If I can help one person, the book was well worth it. So I wrote a book 40 years after my accident. And you at the beginning of this call, I was saying, why me? Why did it happen to me? Blaming everybody, even blaming God. You know what? But I named my book, Why Not Me? I'm gonna give you a couple of chapters I named it was Embrace the Process. And like I mentioned, if once you can embrace the process, you can move forward. But you can't move forward as long as you are stuck in the past. And don't limit you. Another chapter, don't limit yourself. Keep doing what you can do, but don't stay, okay, I can't do this and that's it. No. Once you could embrace it, you can move forward. But you won't know until you try. So that's why I've told my story. I wrote the book, Why Not Me? 8 Keys Turning Tragedy into Triumph. And then also, because I got injured, I started getting back in the community. I started with a Hispanic organization helping others. So get back and get involved in something. Doesn't matter what it is. Just get involved in something. You feel better about yourself.
Yeah, and I love your attitude. I mean, just as you were talking and as we've talked before, I just, this idea, you have a very contagiously optimistic attitude. The other thing, I know you're starting a podcast as well. So tell us a little bit about what that's going to be about and when it's going to be launching.
Well, it should be launching in next couple of weeks. The reason I wanted to do this, after I published my book in January 2020, I had a couple of speaking engagements come up, but unfortunately, pandemic hit, and that shut everything down. So I was doing a research. I said, let me start my podcast. Why not me? Helping how individuals overcoming obstacles and challenges on this journey we call life.
Well, we love that idea. I mean, we've been working to share stories of challenge and transformation, right? Just like yours. And so love this idea that you're going to be doing something kind of in the similar vein. So definitely we'll be checking that out when that launches. And the name of the podcast is Why Not Me, which I love. I love the name of that. It's just such a different way of looking at things, because a lot of times we can just say, well, why me? Why, like you said, why is this happening to me? But well, why not me? Why, things in life happen. Why should I be immune to life, right? So, and your book also is called Why Not Me? And we'll share where people can find that in here just a minute. But I wanted to ask you, we're asking all of our podcast guests, what the term hope warrior means to you personally. When you hear that term, what does that mean to
Well,
Ollie?
hope warrior. I'm gonna break it up in two words. Hope, never give up. Always have the faith. Warrior, put on this shield. You can push through anything once you set your mind to it. You can be strong for yourself and also for your family. That's the warrior in you.
I love that you said you can be strong for yourself so that you can be strong for others, because that's something that I think that doesn't come naturally to us. We think we need to sacrifice for other people. We need to always be doing stuff to, take care of others. And it's something that I know Stephanie and I have been learning in the past, is like we need to be good ourselves so that we can show up for other people. So I love that you saw that in Hope Warrior. This has been an awesome interview, and we want to give you the opportunity to further connect with people if they feel a connection to you, or if they want to reach out to you or follow your journey even further. So how could people do that? How could they find more?
Thank you. They can go to my website. It's www.olliebabegarza.com. There's my bio there. They say if they're interested more in my book, Why Not Me? 8 Keys Turning Tragedy into Triumph. They can purchase it there. I can sign it for them and I'll mail it to them. If they want to be on my podcast, reach out to me.
Yes, I'm really interested to check out your book. So yeah, and we'll link your website in our show notes so people can easily access that, read more about you. I know you have, I think, a video clip on there as well. So a lot more to your story than what we've obviously been able to cover in this short interview today. But Lydia and I really appreciate you sharing and being vulnerable with our audience to share, what you went through, how you were feeling, and then really focusing in on this acceptance and embracing the process. I think that to me is a real key takeaway from your story, because we can apply that to any area of our life, right? Any area of struggle that we're going through. If we can get to the point where we can accept it, I mean, it is what it is, accept it, and then embrace the process. Like you say, the sky's the limit.
And I want to thank the Hope Warrior Project. Thank y'all for letting me come on your show and tell my story, a little bit of it. But again, I want to thank y'all and keep up the great work y'all doing. And again, the sky's the limit. Just keep going, keep pushing.
Thank you for joining us today. Go take a listen to our other episodes. We think you'll be encouraged and inspired by what you hear.
Are you interested in sharing your story of hope on this podcast? Contact us at hopewarriorproject@gmail.com. We'd love the opportunity to help you share your story.